Yeah. Yeah, you have the code, right? Okay.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the garage, and we're live with Elite Tune School. We'll give people some time. We got a couple people in here already. If you're here, you know what to do. Hit up the chat. I see Demon in here. I see Cole. I see Danny Carwile. And right away, I want to thank Mike and Brandon for joining us on a live. And not only that, for hooking you guys up with a free code. We're going to be doing a giveaway. We'll start it off here in about 5 minutes, so you guys know the rules for raffles. And I hate my chair. What's going on, guys? How are you guys doing?
Good, man.
Actually,
not too bad for a Thursday.
I should probably ask the people watching, can you actually hear me? I know you can hear them. What up, Super Slow ZL1, Joseph TJ in the house, into LS. So let's get into, you guys just had your GM master class weekend before last, right?
That's right. Yeah, we did. And we're still kind of in the middle of the online content. I think I wasn't there, but Brandon did Q&A with those students because we do 3 weeks of the follow-up. So we did 2 full days at our office, and then we're in the online portion of the course, which is 3 weeks of online content with Q&A every week. So I think Brandon did like a 3-hour Q&A with those guys. I think it was Monday. Monday it was.
Yeah, it was Monday. It was about 2.5 hours altogether. Pretty interactive group.
So let me ask you, Brandon, out of all the people that signed up for the class, both in person and online, since it was kind of a mixed bag, how many people showed up for the Q&A, over a weekend to ask questions or follow up and stuff like that?
I mean, we capped the class at 20, and out of the 20, I would say 15 to 16 were on that call.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was pretty much a 75%, 80% show up rate. So,
and I'm guessing the 5 people that didn't show up will be in there in your next Q&A before that term expires, kind of ordeal. So I sent a spy into your guys' class. I gave Mike a little bit of a heads up. I don't know that if I told him, well, I kind of gave him hints who it might be, so it was pretty obvious. She had nothing but stellar reviews. She said she took like 17 pages of notes. You guys were just hammering her with information.
She was phenomenal, man. I mean, super awesome lady. So kudos to her. I mean, she kind of the Lone Ranger in there. Not too many. She would be the first woman I think we've ever had take one of our classes. But yeah, kudos to her, man. Super, super sharp girl.
Talk about diving in with both feet going into a 5th gen class. She's been playing around with tuning for a little bit, but not to the point that I generally would suggest somebody get into 5th gen. I would have spent some more time in 4th gen, but man, she's been great. She had some questions that she brought up to me for some clarification stuff, and I'm just like, man, that's awesome that they touched on that, because that's some stuff that's very in depth. So I'm excited. I'm going to try and catch your guys' next class, in fact.
Come on down, man. It's always sunny.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely be talking about that whenever it comes up later on in the year. You guys got any more online stuff or any live stuff coming up anytime soon?
We're actually we're still in the middle of this Gen 5 masterclass. We've had about, I don't know, 8 or 10 people reach out and they want us to do another one. So we're probably in the middle of picking some dates. We're trying to get some stuff aligned with the college too, because we just got through January, but we will be announcing some more live classes very, very shortly, and we'll announce them right here on Goat Rope Garage so everybody can see.
Excellent. Kim said 32 pages of notes typed to give you an idea of the information. So
that's my girl.
Exactly. Let's go ahead. I'm going to open this thing up and to give everybody in here, and I'll reiterate this a couple times, to get the free coupon for the new HP Tuners Intro to HP Tuners course. You guys know how to do the raffle stuff. You know, it should pop. There we go. Hit your exclamation point raffle, and I'll remind you guys like 6 times, then at the end I'll explain how you can get your code. So let's see what we've got going on here. What up, Justin D. Haas back in Oklahoma? Good to see you. Thank you, Demon. Danny Carwell, yes, there are online classes. Prime example is the EcoBoost class that I did kind of a little snippet on last week is a strictly online class. Go over to the website, elitetuneschool.com, and check out the full catalog. Zale1 Chris, I know there's not much interest in Gen 4 anymore. If I did take the Gen 5 class, would I be able to apply any of what's learned to Gen 4? Brandon, what do you think?
Some stuff carries over from Gen 4 into Gen 5. I'm assuming that's what he's asking. Does it carry back into Gen 4?
Right.
Okay. Basic stuff. You're still dealing with an air pump. So yeah, a lot of stuff does, but you're very reliant on torque instead of airflow. So this is the way I break it down. Gen 3 to Gen 4, fairly similar in a lot of ways. Gen 4 to Gen 5, huge difference.
Yeah, exactly. Gen 3 and Gen 4. Gen 4 is just a complicated Gen 3, but Gen 5 changes things up. And Chris, the other side of this is Gen 4 is not going anywhere, man. If you look at a lot of what's going on with the GM Performance crate engines and stuff, the LS3s that are still out there that you can still buy, those are still supported with the E38 or whatever ECU. They're still Gen 4. Gen 4 is not going anywhere. That's going to be, I think, is the standard for swaps for the next 15, 20 years. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
No, you're dead on. Hell, Gen 3 hasn't even died.
Right.
Gen 3, Gen 4, there's enough business out there for the next 10, 15 years. Obviously, Gen 5 is going to be around for a long time, and they're becoming more and more popular with swaps too. We've done a lot of like 69 Camaro, resto mod swaps. So they're becoming more popular. But yeah, I'd agree 100%. Gen 4, I think, is still the most popular for swaps.
Yeah, ICT car guy said it right. Gen 4 is just making it to the salvage yards around him. So Gen 4 is on the tail end of dismantlers just automatically tearing them out of everything and trying to sell them online. And so we're going to see a lot more of those in the your local go pull apart yard and stuff than you have in the past, where it's been a bunch of late Gen 3 stuff, maybe some Gen 4. We're in that phase now where there's going to be a lot of these Gen 4 trucks just available. So Justin has a great question. If I take the Gen 4 Advance, will I be missing stuff from the Gen 4 Basic?
So break it down like that. Yeah, Basic is going to have you pretty proficient with a bolt-on car. So we're not going to be having to touch a lot of the major airflow base tables to help them idle correctly, come down to idle correctly, clutch in correctly. Which is kind of where a lot of the advanced stuff where you start scrapping blowers. I think we even have a nitrous course in there, but that's not really something a lot of guys use anymore. But yeah, you're going to be very proficient with bolt-on stuff, and it will allow you to build into the more advanced stuff, because once you get into the advanced, we don't cover the basics. We are anticipating or hoping you've got a firm grasp on the basic fundamental principles of a Gen 4 before you start getting into the heads, cam, forced induction, big injectors, boost reference fuel systems, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we don't really repeat content.
Okay, that's good to know. And so, obviously, if you have decent experience with the Gen 4, you're probably going to be all right with the Advanced as long as you know your way around the tables. But when in doubt, I guarantee you, if you take the Gen 4 basic stuff, you're going to pick up a few things that you didn't know about. That's what always blows my mind is you think you may know 99%, then you go through one of these courses and you find out, I really knew about 79%. And that extra 20% in there that you may pick up is some of the things that really make the difference on there.
Yeah, we designed the basic basically, it's a lot like some of our college courses where we're anticipating that you guys have never even picked up a laptop. So, I mean, there's some instructional videos on obviously how to download the software, get started, what is an engine, how do they operate? So we kind of build up the principles of how things operate and then start rolling into, basic software navigation. What do the tables do? Why are you changing the tables? And obviously more geared towards bolt-on stuff. And then, again, once we get into the advanced stuff, we're going to assume you've got a great grasp on how to do all of that, and we can just roll into the more complicated stuff.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So a lot of great questions coming in here. Any chance of a one-on-one tuning / training session? You guys thinking about ever offering any kind of one-on-one training?
We've considered it. It's just due to our schedule, and we've had a few people reach out, and we used to have what we called a GM Pro bundle, which we don't have that anymore. And it was, you got every GM course and you got live one-on-one coaching. And we sold about 5 of those a year. And this year we decided we weren't going to do that because of the time constraints on that. So then we have like a GM bundle. And like the guy was asking about the Gen 5 versus the Gen 4. Well, if you spend an extra, I think it's like $600, not only do you get all the Gen 4 content and you get the 6-speed, you get all the Gen 3 content. That includes basic, advanced Gen 3 and 4-speed. You get that for $600 over the price of the Gen 5 masterclass, or the Gen 5 bundle, I mean. So it's like for $600, you get another 6 courses of GM, which is a metric ton of content.
Right.
So
and don't forget to use my code whenever you get it.
Yeah. But we like our students to go through our online content first, and we are very personable with our students. We back them up a lot, and we always answer questions, and all our students are always going to say we always jump on the phone with them. We do this all day long. This is what we do 24/7. So it's not hard to get a hold of us once you're a student, and we know who you are and we know what you're trying to learn.
Right.
I mean,
that's
hell,
awesome.
I had a guy today, Turbo 400 swapped a neural network 2023 truck. Never even knew this was possible. And the guy was like, I didn't really take him seriously per se, I guess as serious as I probably should have, but he had reached out and said, hey, I'm tuning this Turbo 400 neural network truck. And I'm like, yeah, okay, man. He goes, will the Gen 5 course apply? And I said, no. So some principles will roll over into neural network, but we don't even have a class on neural network. The guy ends up buying a course. And then he reaches out and he says, I can't fix this problem. I bought the course to fix the problem. And we're like, it's never going to fix your problem. So
right.
I ended up having the guy send me the log and the tune. And right up until I jumped on here with you guys, I was literally fixing this truck for this guy because it was interesting. It's not normal. I had to really think outside the box to fix it.
I've got so many questions right now.
Oh, man, it was a wild tune to try to get this thing correct.
Okay, chat room, I will get to your questions just in a second, but let me get my own questions answered first. Did he have to reflash the ECU with a manual transmission ECU through SPS like you did on the early 5th gen stuff?
Well, here's the problem. Where do you get a manual OS for a truck neural network? You can't. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, I mean, we used to use Corvettes.
Right, or a Blackwing or something like that.
Yeah.
They don't exist. So I had to work around, which was causing PE issues, which was causing the blade not to open, which was causing all kinds of issues, phantom rev limiters.
Right.
It was actually really cool to work through it because my day-to-day stuff, we do the same stuff pretty much all the time. But when you get a curveball like that, where you have to really think outside the box, it kind of lights up the old brain a bit. And it was cool. The guy was super happy. He's like, man, you guys literally, I learned a ton just watching all this. I was like, yeah, it kicked my ass pretty good too, man.
Well, Just a heads up, Brandon. I'm going to be hitting you up on this because I think I'm going with the Global B with the Power Glide. So I'm going to have to go through the same thing.
I don't recommend it.
I don't care. I'm going to do it anyways. Okay, so next question, Mopar. When will it be released?
Oh, we are hoping in the next 90 to 120 days.
Okay.
That's a big hope. Dodge is like I don't know how to put this politely. Like
bastard stepchild.
Yeah, they're like the bastard stepchild. Like, Ford's complex, but you can understand it. GM is the most universal of the big three. But Dodge is like out in its own, it's out in its own field, you know what I mean? But it's coming. It's just there's so much variance between the Hellcats and the NA stuff and all that, but it's getting there.
Yeah, it's kind of a mess. I'll agree there. Is there any has there been any talk about offering some kind of monthly subscription?
We talk about it all the time, actually.
We do.
Are we just going to leave it at that for now?
Well, I mean, we've tried the way our stuff is set up. We're the only ones that kind of offer, say, payment plans even on our bigger stuff. So
okay,
you can payment plan any of our courses, and to get to that, say, $30 or $40 price point, it's tough for us to do, especially because what a guy will do is say, well, I can just spend $30 and binge watch your content for a month and then shut it off, and the guy's got a ton of knowledge for that. So it's hard for us to do that. We do we payment plan everything, which is good. We've got stuff that starts at 20 or $30, but we're probably, I think we talked about this today, probably about 2 hours ago, Brandon and I did. Like when we release Global B, we're probably like the older stuff is when we're going to start doing the subscriptions. So
okay.
then, hey, it's, $39 a month and you can access all the Gen 3 content. And for $39 a month, you can access all the Gen 4 content. We'll probably do something like that as things transition over. But right now we have to release more newer content, but that will be coming down the pipe. I think probably late this year. We'll probably subscription base Gen 3, maybe slide into Gen 4 as we release the Global B stuff.
Cool. Tyler says, I purchased y'all's 10-speed trans class. Love it with a big exclamation point. He's out in the car tuning right now. Hopefully you're not driving and tuning.
Awesome.
Let me say, you guys got about 7 minutes left to get into the giveaway for the code to get free access to the Intro to HP Tuners that Elite Tune School has put together. Obviously, we want to thank those guys for providing us codes. I think what we're going to do is probably give away, we've got about 20 or so, 25 maybe. We're going to give away 15 tonight. So there's going to be 15 winners out there. We've got a big enough crowd. You do have to stick around until we do the drawing. If you're not present, you can't win. And so, yeah. What else? Anything else that you guys want to talk about?
I mean, the main thing is that course that we did is the course we probably should have done when we first opened the school. And that is the basic course. And all of our new basic courses are going to get that thing for free. We're going to include it. And we're also going to use it for some of our remote tuning customers that have never touched a laptop. But I know most of your crowd has already kind of been around the HP tuner scene, but it will give them something to kind of look through. But if you're a new guy, I would like to see some new people who are new to tuning get those courses. Because if you're a seasoned tuner, this is not for you. If you're very new to the software and you're just kind of coming into the goat rope community, this is something right up your alley that can really kind of answer questions for you and speed the process up.
Sweet. And I tell you what, for anybody that's watching this after the live show and wondering about it, I'll do kind of a little teaser like I did on the Ford stuff and show you some stuff behind the scenes on it to give you an idea. But what is the base price on this class, Mike?
This intro class, it's just a $20 class. We're almost like,
I'm telling you, if you're new, spend the $20. It'll be worth
it's
it. I promise you. So
yeah, we talked about it today. Brian's like, well, what'd you think? Because I went through the entire class today from
okay,
start to finish. And he's like, what do you think? And it's a ton of information. And we did a section at the bottom because HP Tuners had reached out to us and said, hey, these are 100 of the most frequently asked questions that we get. Can you guys put something together for this? And we looked through it and we're like, some of these were just totally stupid. So we were like,
right.
let's filter through them and get the kind of the 10 or so that make the most sense that people really need to understand. So we did a section at the end with those kind of 10 things. And other than that, we have a pretty fair amount, a good section on the editor, and then we've got another 4 or 5 real good videos on the scanner and just how to flow with the scanner. But if you're new, the information's out there, but we've condensed it all into one spot,
Bingo.
and it makes it real easy to track down the exact answer and kind of go through the content. It's a good little $20 course. I think new guys are going to really appreciate it.
Tuning in general, when you're starting and you don't know what you don't know, it's super frustrating.
It's overwhelming.
Well, yeah. I mean, not only do you have to understand how an engine works, now you have to understand how the software works, but you don't just have one. You've got the editor and you've got the scanner, and both are separate skill sets, and you've got to be proficient with both. Our goal is obviously to shortcut the learning curve. Again, like Mike said, the info's out there, but I mean, do you want to spend 5 weeks digging for it, or it's all condensed into one spot where, you've got very detailed information on how to use all of this proficiently?
Hey, and the nice thing about it is you guys are a lot better than I am at presenting that information. I'm kind of scatterbrained whenever I'm doing this stuff, and it's not that I don't try to get all that information, but if I were to try and do what you guys have done on some of this stuff, my videos would be 6 days long, not even 6 hours. So it would be overwhelming.
I can kind of relate. Mike is a short and to the point kind of guy. I tend to be a little bit more long-winded, but
I like to overcomplicate things.
Well, I can have a conversation with an engineer, but also dumb it down to a point where a lot of people can understand it, and that's always, I guess it's a gift. I don't know, but I've just been very good at being able to break down very complex stuff and make it so that people can understand it. Basically everybody.
So this question, nobody get angry. What's the best AFR gauge?
I'm sorry?
What's the best AFR gauge?
Ballinger 500 NGK sensor CAN bus.
I don't have to even think about it.
So
the better for the general public, if you don't have $10,000 to access, top tier equipment, the Ballinger AFR, in my opinion, I mean, we've used them all. We've used the AEM, we've used Innovates. I mean, hell, when I first started tuning, I started with an Innovate. Now, I don't have anything against the Innovate, but after you burn up about 55 sensors in 20 cars, you're like, man,
that's $67 a piece.
Yeah, I'm chipping away at my tuning profit here in sensors, where a Ballinger with a good NTK sensor, I mean, we've tuned hundreds of cars.
Is there anything else that supports the NTK sensors besides the Ballingers?
I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong, but I stopped looking because once we found the Ballinger, I didn't need to look any further for anything better. Now, I mean, obviously I'd be open to if there's something better, but I've yet to find it in the last, 8 years or so. The problem I found with the AEM, I found the AEMs, which is what a lot of guys will use for the CAN stuff. I found those to be a point off. I
believe that.
I was tuning a C7 ZR1. It's a $200,000 car. Car makes 1,000 horsepower. He had an onboard AEM. I had the Ballinger in the other side, and I just wanted to compare. Had I had used his Ballinger, I'd have blown the motor up. It was reading.
You mean it's AM?
I'm sorry. Yes, had I used.
I was about to say, don't make my point for me. Listen, all of my experience with the Ballinger, I like them because I think they're nice units. God, I just for some reason have not gotten good data out of them. Hold on.
When you say good data, are you saying like the sampling rate, or are you saying just the data in general?
Just the data in general, like, is not as smooth as a lot of other units that I've used. And I don't know if it's a sampling rate or reactionary or something like that. Honestly, it reminds me of the controller that Holly used on the Terminator X, which is absolutely junk.
That's interesting because every time we use a Ballinger, like we send screenshots to each other all day. Like when like, you know, a couple pulls in, it's flat as a board. But I actually find the Ballinger to be very smooth as far as how it samples data. Whereas like I've used Innovates that are good, but you see them like literally.
Yeah.
If you hover into the trough, it's like a half a point difference between peak to valley. Now, granted, you can sample that out, but I find it harder to track when it's that noisy.
Right.
So
well, you got to question the data, whether or not it's accurate. My big thing is I don't like using an analog output on any wideband because you're taking analog data, converting it to digital, converting it back to analog, then converting it back to digital. I want the analog data to be converted to digital and stay digital all the way to the screen or the graph or whatever that is. And so that informs my buying decision because there's so much that goes wrong with that analog from the controller to wherever the ProLink or wherever the hell you want to call it. That's the biggest issue that I have is the fact that we are in 2024 now and there's still so many gauges that are relying still so heavily on analog. We should be way past that. Everything should be on CAN bus, or serial of some sort. I mean, serial's 50 years old. We've got CAN bus on everything nowadays. Every gauge our controller should have the option of being able to do CAN bus messaging, I think.
Well, sir, wait till you tune a C8 or a Blackwing. You see how slow those wide bands are. You will go back and say, you know what? I could really go for a Ballinger right about now.
Well, I don't want to do it through the vehicle's CAN bus. I want to bring it into the ProLink's CAN bus, and it'll be the only thing on the CAN bus. Yeah. Is what I'm talking about, especially since HB tuners. I don't know if you've gotten out on the beta with the scanner having the custom Modbus or CAN bus registers on it now. And I think you can only send it, but they're working on receiving custom stuff, which is going to be really cool because you'll be able to interface with all kinds of third-party CAN bus devices. And I think that'll be game-changing. Hopefully it will get everybody working towards using more CAN bus stuff. But hold on. Listen, guys, I've got the entries open for 2 more minutes. If you have not joined the raffle, exclamation point raffle. Exclamation point raffle. Here, let me pin this. It'll be at the top of the chat. Use exclamation point raffle. I want to make sure everybody has a chance. So, Craig Anderson, I would not go straight into the OBD2 port. Okay, great question here. When can I know I've reached maximum torque on a Ford platform?
I missed that.
When do I know I've reached maximum torque in a Ford platform?
When do you know you've reached maximum torque? I'm assuming he's on a dyno.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is there... yes, just assume that he's on a dyno because there's no way of knowing really without it.
Ford's a little tougher because of their interactive knock strategy and how fast it is. I mean, I can say I have tried to force a Ford to use more timing and it'll spit it right back out at me. And the lines will literally just trace on top of one another with a Ford if everything is set up correctly. I would say it's got a far superior system than just about any other thing out there. But like, it's same principle. You're going to cautiously add timing until torque stops increasing. Now, granted, some of that's dependent on fuel, like LT4s and things like that. You can actually induce knock before you actually reach MBT on like
Right.
an EP4, especially the stock blower stuff. But Fords, I mean, pretty tough to overdo it unless you're just negligent in there. I don't. Maybe that didn't answer his question.
Well, I think if that didn't, my next question will be on the Ford platform, like the GM, if you start exceeding your virtual torque, as it were, will you start seeing cut timing or closing throttle bodies not opening all the way, stuff like that, like you do on the GMs?
So if you exceed a torque value in most of the time, if it's a virtual torque problem, usually it's just going to be a blade closure.
Okay.
If it's severe enough, and usually I'll see this more on like if it's a lock TCM and the car is making too much power, then I'll see a blade and spark drop. But usually if you exceed the virtual torque or a torque limitation, it's just going to be in the form of a blade closure. And fun fact, C7 ZR1s don't actually do either. They they open the bypass valve and blade boost. So they do kind of something a little different.
Okay, good to know. That's just, I don't know if that was answering any question or stuff like that.
But yeah, I mean, in general, it's kind of the same across engine platforms. I mean, if you increase timing advance in a given area and torque output increases, especially tremendously, obviously the engine is telling you you're heading in the right direction. As long as, and Ford is very good at this, Ford will spit it right back out. If you get too aggressive with timing advance, and you'll see in the data log with a Ford that what I find bizarre with a Ford is if you look at the timing curve through a Ford, if you don't obviously force it up against like a cylinder pressure limit, like I see a lot of guys do, it's very wavy and abrupt, but the graph is smooth as glass.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's crazy. If I showed you a data log of my personal 2020 Mustang with twin turbos, car made 1100 wheel. The timing curve it would kind of jiggity up and down, up and down, up and down, a couple degrees. But if you look at the dyno pole, smooth as glass. Same thing with like a 2020 GT500 with a PD blower. I made 1100 wheel with a stock blower, and the timing would be kind of all over the place, but the graph is smooth as glass. It's really incredible because if you did
it's not something that you're feeling at that point. It's making timing adjustments so quick.
On the fly, but if you did that with GM and you chunked the timing curve like
good
that,
Lord.
In the dyno graph. Yeah. Ford is so bizarre and incredible with how they can make calculations that fast, but the dyno graph just be smooth as glass.
Yeah, doesn't see it. That's cool. Okay, listen. The drawing is closed. We're going to jam out some winners here. And by the way, Kim said, thank you both of you for your time and efforts. So, Bill won. Go ahead.
I said, tell her thank you for making the trip.
She heard you. Okay, Bill won. I know you're still here, Bill. Congratulations. Winner number 2 is going to be Brian Allen. Make sure you say something in the chat so I know that you're here. The next winner is going to be Kim. Congratulations. And then we've got Too Many Tax, new name on here, Too Many Tax. Hopefully you're still here watching so you can get your free code. David Connors. Man, we got a lot of new faces in here. You guys brought some people in. Thank you. Always wanted to take their class, but budget won't let me. Man, Mike, tell them.
Payment plan, put it on a payment plan and let it run. I mean, you can start with a 3-month payment plan. And on the bigger stuff, we do 4 months. Nobody really does that. And we are basically, doing the credit on that. It's not like, we're using an outside company. I mean, we're fronting all that. So I get it,
that's
but
awesome.
It's the pay to play. We trust me, we try to make it as cheap as we possibly can.
Okay, the next 5 winners are going to be TJ, One Bad Black Drag Truck. That's quite the name. Justin Murphy, Chris Mahan, and Tyler Selby. And it's telling me that's all the winners I can pick. So congratulations to everybody who won tonight. We will get the rest of the codes out in the coming weeks and in different ways and yada, yada, yada. You will have more chances. But if you don't want to wait, just go over to the website and spend the $20. It'll be worth it, promise you. If you are one of the winners, what you need to do is you need to send me an email with your screen name and say, hey, I won one of the Intro to HP Tutor classes, and I will get you a code. You can send me an email or use the contact form on the website. Just make sure and put your screen name in there. So with that being said, congratulations to all the winners. And Mike, do you have anything to say before we go?
Nothing. We want to just thank you for having us on, and we're kind of very excited to what's going to bring this year. We're going to hopefully bring a bunch of stuff to Go Rope Garage. We're trying to bring as much value as we can in your community, and we're going to try and definitely do some cool things this year with you, and do some more giveaways and do some events with you guys. It'll be fun. It's going to be a fun year.
I'm going to start a poll before I kick this over to Brandon. And so the question is, should Brandon be a regular on the live show? I know he's got a busy schedule, but maybe we can bring him in like once a month and he can help me answer questions if he'd be up for that. And basically, yeah, I don't know if you guys know how YouTube polls work, but you have to do the answer. And it was 100% yes. So Brandon, you are now locked in of having to come on here and do the live show with us. But that being said, is there anything you want to say before we jump off here, Brandon?
I think they call that your voluntold.
Exactly.
No, I mean, Mike pretty much nailed it. So, I mean, it's an awesome experience every time we get with you. So once again, we appreciate you having us, and, look forward to what 2024 has in store.
Listen, me too. You guys are two of the most down to earth guys. Produce awesome content. We love to be working with you, and appreciate all the time that you spent coming on and doing shows with me and live shows and stuff like that. And everybody is in here saying thanks for coming, guys. So the crowd appreciates it. Great crowd, and so we're going to do it again. I promise you that. Brandon, Mike, and I are not about to slow down at this point in time. It's just puts all the way down on the pedal until torque management starts closing the throttle blade.
Let's roll, baby.
Okay, listen, you guys know the drill. Thanks for stopping by the garage. Remember, ABT, always be tuning.